yeah, I was just like, damn, Luke Perry. He's young. That is a young man. And he seems young, or seemed young.
I'm sorry, who is Luke Perry?
What? Luke Perry, wow.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going to take a minute to process this. Luke Perry recently died. It was 52.
Okay, yes, I heard about this.
54.
I just don't think about 52-year-olds being young.
Let me put it in perspective. So 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, was a show that was kind of like a teen soap opera. And many of the people on the show were not actually teens, but we'll just put that to the side. It was one of those like teen soap opera shows like Melrose Place or whatever. And it was on when I was like in middle school. So I was like 12, 13 years old. And I had Luke Perry all over my bedroom. Okay.
Really?
Like all over my walls. Well, because he had these like, and also he was in the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he had this kind of like, you know, bad boy thing going on. And like,
wow.
I just think of him as like a teen idol. And like, I know he was a very middle-aged man. I don't even know how to describe it. He was like in his 50s. But like, he's not that much older than me. He's like 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
Right? So, I thought of him as just like, I was just very shocked because I was like, God, he's like young.
I mean, yeah, he's young to die, definitely.
Well, I feel, I mean, he was like a teen idol when I was like a teen. It's like, and so I think more people now know him on Riverdale because that's like the thing that he was on last, which I didn't see, but I was just like, fuck, like the wheels are motherfucking turning, are they not?
Yeah. That'll
Shit.
be like if when Leo D dies.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
He's not that much younger than Luke Perry, I don't think. He's probably in his late 40s.
He's probably in his 40s, yeah. He was 20-something, 21, 20,
He's
19?
probably, he's probably around
For
my age.
Titanic. He's probably 41, 42, 43, 48.
I'm going to guess like 44, maybe 45.
We'll look it up.
I guess it doesn't matter, but like, it's just like fucking Luke Perry died and Peter Tork died. And I'm just like, I'm not getting any younger, you guys.
Actually, you are.
Am I?
Yes.
I'm aging in reverse. I'm like a Benjamin Button. Anyway, it's just like, God, can people just stop dying? Can the people of my youth just like, could you stop? Could you just stop?
Yeah.
Stop it with the dying. Anyway, it was really sad. It was really fucking sad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I didn't know who he was.
It's okay. Beverly Hills 90210 was not even a very good show. It's just,
I mean, I've definitely
like a cultural
heard
touchstone, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we just finished watching Barry recently,
yes,
which I think will have restarted its second season by the time this episode comes out. What did you think of it?
I loved it. I think it's very smart, and it's like the perfect combination of comedy and darkness.
Yeah, it had some good action scenes.
Yeah, really good. And like Bill Hader is like all of a sudden very attractive.
Like when did Bill Hader become hot?
He's like hot in
when
the
did
show.
that happen?
Like not necessarily the way he looks, but like the way his character
intensity or something.
Yeah, he's just like, we see a side of him that we don't see on SNL or any of the comedy films he's been on.
And he's brilliant. He's a brilliant comedian.
Yeah.
It was a good fucking show, you guys.
Yeah,
I realize it's like, this is welcome to the Georgia Made podcast.
Oh yeah, welcome.
Welcome to the Georgia Made podcast, by the way. I'm Nicole.
I'm Sarah.
And this Barry was not filmed in Georgia.
No,
it was LA as hell. But Sarah and I watched a lot of things together, and we really enjoyed it. So
yeah.
I also love how accurate it is about what it's like to be in a fucking acting class. Like, I usually hate shows about acting or shows about filmmaking. Like, I don't like that meta stuff. I don't like it. Like, not behind the scenes stuff. I like documentaries. I watch documentaries about filmmaking nonstop. But fictional shows about the craft of making a film or TV show or whatever, I don't typically like that stuff. I don't know why. But I Loved Barry. I thought it was hilarious. It nails what it's like to be in an acting class and how kind of ridiculous it is. But also how much joy it brings to the people that are in it, and like emotional value that people get from the friendships, and also the act of actually being in the class. Henry Winkler
is amazing.
Oh my God.
I can't believe
nails
he used to be the
acting
teacher. Like,
oh God, he's so good.
He's so good. So hilarious. And it reminds me of Dexter a bit in that
like you shouldn't like this guy.
You shouldn't like him, but also like the whole point of Dexter is like there's this sociopath in plain sight who like has to hide what he does at all times, and everyone is talking about this person who did these things, and they don't know it's him.
Right. So it's like the stranger beside me in a way. Yeah. Anyway, Barry, it was a good show.
Yeah.
I think we're moving on to Russian Doll next, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that'll be, we're literally moving on to that after we finish recording this episode. So we'll get back to you on that. Shall we talk about today's topic?
Today's topic
is
Dumplin.
Dumplin. So today's topic is something that was shot in Georgia, the film Dumplin, which came out in 2018, right? Towards the end. Yep. I know I watched it while wrapping Christmas presents. That's when I watched it. I did recently watch it again for this episode, but the first time I watched it was, and it's available on Netflix.
The first time I watched it was a couple days ago with some of my friends.
Did you watch it with Brandon?
I watched it with Brandon and his partner Dan.
Yeah. So you loved it. So first impressions, loved it.
Yes, first impressions. So we had watched the first episode of, what was that show? Insatiable?
Yeah, I think we could definitely make a few comparisons.
And
now, we didn't watch the whole
out.
thing, but we did watch one episode. That was all we could get through was one episode. Also shot in Georgia.
Yes.
Insatiable. In fact, one of the actors in this show who was in one of the smaller roles was also on Insatiable.
Okay.
Insatiable, another pageant-ish, only that was a show. Also shot in Georgia. We watched that for the Feminine Mystic podcast.
Also explores fat issues, kind of, or like makes fun of them.
Very different way.
Yeah.
So your first impression is you loved it.
Yes, I thought that it did that topic, that area right.
Okay.
And also as like a fat girl, it really spoke to me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to getting into that. I liked the first time. Here's my impression of it on the second watch is I liked it. I thought it was I really enjoyed it the first time. I thought it was fun. And then on the second watch, there were like more things that bothered me about it than the first time.
Interesting.
So that's what I'll say about that. Like on second watch, I was like, wait, well.
Oh, interesting.
There were more things that bothered me on the second watch. And so that's what I'll say going into it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've written down some things.
Okay.
Do you you don't even have any notes out?
I don't. It's all in here.
Okay. Well, you start. You start. I feel like you should start.
Yeah, I have not been overweight my whole life. It just happened. Well, not recently. Now, I mean, only like I think it's been 7 years that I've been obese.
Okay.
And so I can't relate to being a fat child, but what she goes through in the subplot of her relationship with that guy.
Okay.
That definitely the fear of a guy touching my body and being like just completely overwhelmed with like, oh God, I can't believe he feels my fat rolls, and like just being completely like disgusted and like afraid and freaking out. And then the scene where he confronts her and she starts crying and says like, why me? Like you should be with that girl, you know, like why are you with someone like me? Like this, you know? And I literally have played that scene out in my head like so many times.
Makes me sad.
And like, so I really did relate to that.
So the relationship especially hit home for you. Well, should we talk about Bo since we're kind of talking about him right now? So, of course, Dumplin is so spoilers, obviously. Dumplin is a film. It takes place in Texas, even though it was shot in Georgia. It's a film about Willa Dean, And her mother was a pageant winner and now runs a local pageant that is like, and it's a small town. And she's recently lost her aunt, who was also overweight. And they, and so they're dealing with that loss. And then she decides to enter this pageant as a challenge, almost, it seems like, to the pageant.
Yeah.
Again, on the second watch, I feel like the motivation of entering the pageant is unclear. She says it's for Lucy, okay, how do we unpack this? There's so much to get. Should we start kind of more at the beginning?
Sure.
I mean, I've written down some random things, but maybe going to Bo is like too soon.
Yeah.
So let's maybe just kind of generally talk about the beginning-ish, I guess,
Okay.
which is that so it starts with her as a young child, right? We don't even see her mother, who's played by Jennifer Aniston.
No,
We don't see her in the opening. It's just her and Lucy, who, by the way, is played by a local actress. I assume so because I looked up who's the agencies that everyone's represented by, and her agency is located here.
Okay.
I think it's the People Store. Anyway, so she is a local actress who played Lucy. Her name is Hilary Begley.
Okay.
Anyway, so the opening scene's really her and her aunt and her meeting her best friend.
Yeah.
And their love of Dolly Parton, which also figures heavily in this movie.
Yeah, I think that I'm not, a diehard Dolly Parton fan. I mean, I
love
think
Dolly Parton.
I think she seems like a very nice, cool person, but I'm not a country fan, and not that type of music doesn't do it for me. So I was kind of like, okay, this is nice, but
I'm not a country fan either, but I love Dolly. Like, I don't love country music at all, but I do love Dolly Parton. So they have a really special relationship with Dolly Parton because Dolly Parton kind of brings her and her friend together. And Dolly Parton also is something that she shares with her aunt. And they have these like Dolly parties, and they have like a whole room for like Dolly partying in with like, they've got a whole scrapbook with Dolly in it. It's like a whole thing. Yeah. Which on second watch, I was like, wow, this is intense. Yeah. The amount of like love of Dolly. But I love Star Wars, so...
Also, why were the lights still on when she opened that closed door?
It was a little weird. But, maybe they just left them on the whole time. I don't know.
Or maybe her mom went in there?
Maybe. Let's just say mom went in there.
Let's
just say mom went in there. Yeah, it's a little iffy there. I mean, she hadn't been dead that long. It was, like, not a long time. Yeah, it was, like, earlier
months.
that... Yeah.
Still, that's a long time for.
So you feel like that light bulb? That was like a suspension.
It was a lot of lights. It was lamps. It was string lights.
I mean, it's frankly a fire hazard. Yeah, if you think about it.
Sorry, that just pulled me out of it.
I mean, you're right. And then, of course, her mother is played by Jennifer Aniston. Her mother's name is Rosie. She won the pageant back in the 90s. Yeah. What did you think about Jennifer Aniston in this role?
I mean, I think she did a good job. I mean, I wasn't blown away by her character or her acting, although Jennifer Aniston is a great actress and she's had some really meaty roles.
I found like her accent was good. I usually get really like one of my big pet peeves in Insatiable was all their foghorn leghorn accents. Yeah. I feel like the accents were good in this film. They weren't like too much. They didn't bother me. Yes. They seemed on point. I thought she was really good. I think what I love about Jennifer Aniston in this movie is that I feel like I can identify with the idea like of the mom that like means well, but also says a lot of things that like hurt you deep inside. Yeah. Like I feel like that's what this mom was constantly like. She's trying to help, but also it's a lot of this like passive aggressive stuff, which although not having like I didn't grow up being an overweight child, but I did grow up in America as a human woman, and so I had people constantly telling me how much I should or shouldn't eat. And even today, like even yesterday, I was like at a we went to this like Italian restaurant with my family. My mom was not there. This was my dad's family, but after dinner, I was like, I'm going to order some dessert and take it home. And everybody's like, Like, everybody's giving me shit about ordering this dessert. Like, I'm going to get fat because I ordered one fucking cannoli. And then you know what? 3 other fucking people ordered a cannoli right after I did. So I'm just saying, like, it's still a thing. Like, where, like, I feel like even as an adult, people are still like, I mean, are you sure you want that dessert? And it's like, I'm a fucking adult. Yeah. If I said I wanted it, yes, and you know what? I ate that whole fucking cannoli when I got home, and it was delicious.
In bed?
I didn't eat it in bed. I was cleaning up the house, so I ate it at the counter.
Okay.
I just I ate some, and then I did some cleaning, and then I came back and I ate some more, and then I did some cleaning, and then I came back. Anyway, so I am accustomed to being told in not so subtle terms things like, I don't think you should have a second helping. You've had enough. Or, as my grandmother used to tell me, if you keep eating like that, you're going to look like the side of a barn. I was told that regularly. And when someone in your house goes on a diet, then they feel they need to food shame you. Like, it's like, I feel like it's a common thing that happens with people. Like, they go on a diet and now suddenly they're the authority on like, just because you're eating rabbit food doesn't mean that I have to like fall in with whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I feel like she did like, I what I love about Jennifer Aniston's character and performance was that she was likable and also awful at the same time. Yeah. Which is really hard to do.
Yeah, actually you're right.
So hard. Like there were times where you can see how much she loves her daughter and how and she's just trying her best like any human being does. And that's what we do as moms. Like, I'm not perfect. You know?
Just keep passing down our shit.
We just keep passing down our shit, right? And she was trying. You can see how hard she was trying, but also how a lot of stuff she said was hurtful and not at all helpful. And
you can tell that she probably had a mom do the same to her.
And that's how these food issues get passed on. That's how these body image issues get passed on.
Yeah.
Is that someone told you that your body wasn't good enough, and you worked and worked and worked. And I think her character, she says that she used to be fat, right?
Yeah.
And that she lost the weight and then got this. And so now she's spending her whole life trying to stay a certain size.
Yeah.
Just dieting. Who wants to live like that?
No.
I don't.
Me. No.
I did spend the first like 25 years of my life living like that, where I was like, well, obviously not 25, because, you know, there's like, I didn't really become aware of my body until I was probably like 8 or 9. Yeah. Right. But that's when the dieting began.
Well, what's crazy to me is when I was thin, I got so many messages from our culture that was about staying thin and being fat is gross and stuff. And so I was terrified of gaining weight at all. And then when I actually became fat, everyone treated me better. And like, and also like recently when I've told people about like why I gained weight, it was like because of PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I'm like, but I should eat better and stuff. And I've had people actually say, no, if it's a health thing, you shouldn't even, don't even worry about that. And I'm just like, all right, so I have a free pass to like eat whatever I want.
I just feel like honestly, it's really, and I'm at the point now where I feel like there are times when I make choices where I can feel like the food that I'm eating is not like the best choice for my body. Like, I can feel that, but it's not about like how many calories it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of at this point where I'm trying to figure out like, how can I eat food that feels good, and how can I do exercise that I enjoy that's good for my body, but I don't really give a shit about the numbers.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore with my life. No. I can't spend all my time writing down the foods that I eat and like beating myself up all the time over like what my body shape is. And like, even when I was super thin, I still thought I was fat and didn't appreciate the body that I had. So it really didn't matter. Anyway, I digress. I guess this is what this film is about, and it's going to bring up a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say about Jennifer Aniston's character, what I thought was really great about her was her ability to be sympathetic and also kind of awful at the same time. Like a great mom, but also like, God, could you do better? Like all at the same time, which is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that, and of course, Rosie like, you can tell she loves her daughter, but she's also kind of like encouraging her to lose weight. And like, she doesn't seem embarrassed of her, but it seems like Willa Dean feels like she's an embarrassment to her. And she has this nickname for her.
Dumplin. Right. Yeah. And but you know, she doesn't seem overtly, like, I feel like something that this film does right is there are some points where like the high school students are like making fun of her weight. It's a little.
I mean, is it really that
over the
bad?
top? No,
like,
I don't think so.
It seemed very extreme. Like the way
Very
they're
over
just
the
like
top.
slapping a box of donuts out of her hand when she's like 9 years old. Like I get kids can be mean, but like it was like extreme.
I think that what happens more often is kids talk to each other behind your back, you know, and
yeah,
like,
and
that kind of
exclude
stuff.
you from
Yeah.
things, right? That seems like
Yeah.
more like what kids do.
Now, I had some kids in my class tease me for my stutter in a very overt
That's fucked up.
way. But I think that after like the age of like 8 and stuff, the overt stuff tends to
Yeah.
like by the time you're in high school, you're not going to be going up to someone and like oinking at them because they're fat. Like that's
Yeah,
you know,
that
that's
seems
not-
like it's just you're just not going to be part of their club.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it seemed a lot. But of course, I also didn't. I mean, I grew up in the burbs, but I don't know. I don't want to. Is that what it's like in a small town? It just seems like really
don't know.
intense. But yeah, so she's getting picked on at school.
Yeah.
She's taking it okay. She does knee that one guy in the balls, which was pretty badass.
Yeah. But then she gets suspended.
Right, which her mom is rightfully upset about. It's hard though. I feel like if my child were like, well, he called me a pig and winked at me, I'd be like, well, you know, good job.
Yeah, and it's also
But
different.
you can't though, as a parent, you can't.
Yeah, and it's also different to hear about it.
Yeah.
Like as a parent.
Well, she was
and
really
then
defending
to
the other
see
character.
the actual scene
Yeah.
and what happened.
I mean, she walked away from him and he was making fun of Millie.
Yeah.
So she kneed him in the balls because of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You were talking about the motivations behind her joining.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like we're not there yet though,
Okay.
because we set up all these. So, and then there's this relationship that she has with her friend. What's her friend's name again? Fuck, brown-haired girl.
Brown-haired girl.
Sweet little brown-haired girl.
Who's thin and cute.
I think it's Ellen.
Ellen.
Her name's Ellen.
Okay.
Ellen. So I really liked their relationship.
Yeah.
It felt very real to me. And as the person whose friends are always hotter than them, I'm serious. Like growing up in in middle school, high school, I was always the less attractive friend with that's funny.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm the one who makes jokes, but I'm not as pretty as my friend. So I totally feel that. But also, like, I love that there was, like, just up until... And again, I want to address this when we get to the scene where they have the fight, because this is something that made the fight really hard for me to believe. Like, I feel like they needed to spend more time on that or something, because it seemed very abrupt
Yeah.
and not in character at all.
Yeah.
But up until the point where they have their falling out, the relationships seemed really genuine, and there seemed to be a lot of support, and, like... There was no, like, I'm jealous of you because you're prettier and thinner than me or whatever. Or I hate to say prettier because, like, I feel like I'm all over the place. But another thing I wanted to address is, like, again, here's another thing that kind of bothered me about the movie was that I feel like we have to do this thing where we make the overweight character, like, it's not enough that she's overweight. We also have to put her in ill-fitting clothes.
Yes.
And we have to, like, not put as much makeup on her as we do the other actresses.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, everybody else gets a little primped a little bit more than her.
Yeah.
And it's, like, is like, why are you trying so hard to make it seem like she's not as attractive as everyone else?
Yeah.
When all these other girls are getting way more makeup and, like, clothes that fit them.
Well, if you think about the end where she, like, is in the show and you're like, oh, look, she has a waist. Like...
Exactly,
you know,
but
like,
also, like, when you watch one of those movies where somebody is a nerd and they get made over, like, it's literally just they're wearing glasses and they take off the fucking glasses.
Yeah.
Like, it just bothered, like, when can we just not, this is the thing that bothered me in the movie, but is in a range of other things that the movie also does right. It's just one of those things that I think all movies do. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I've also been posting these Throwback Thursday episodes on the Feminine Mistake podcast page, right? Mm-hmm. Because although we're not recording other new episodes, I was like, let's go back and kind of look at some of these episodes we've done over the years. And the one that's up this month is She-Devil. And we talked a lot about how with Roseanne Barr's character, how they're like, she's got to be overweight and she's got to have a mole and we got to slick her hair back and we got to give her a mustache. And it's like, why are you trying so hard? And of course, that's not what they did with Willa Dean, but I definitely they didn't they put her in clothes that didn't really fit. And like, I don't know. It's just, they were, and she looked more like a real person does. You know, like real people in the world look a little bit more like she does in the movie. Yeah. But then everybody else in the movie was made up like a fucking actress, except for the main actress. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because it's a pet peeve, and I noticed it more this time than I did last time. When I was just kind of caught up in the story.
I did notice that. However, I felt kind of like they weren't trying. Like, I feel like the film was not saying she's gross. I feel like the film during those scenes was showing that Beau was interested in her and her friends, you know, cared about her. And like, so I don't think it was saying like she is.
I just think that's how they dress an overweight actress in a movie like this. I don't think there was an intention to be like, let's make her look shitty. I just think that's what they do because they think that's what they need to do to get this story across. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how it feels.
I think it probably had to do with the reveal at the end and making it more pronounced. I think that they put her in like well-fitting clothes at the beginning, then the reveal of her in those outfits at the end.
All of it, like why? Like if you're gonna have her in ill-fitting clothes, like why everything? Like literally, she's like the only person in this movie not wearing makeup. You know what I mean? And she was wearing a little bit of makeup, and you can even see like when she's wearing her like, you know, diner clothes, even those fit her a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, you can still have the clothes fit her and then put her in something more glamorous. Yeah. That's the thing. It's almost like they feel like, and I'm saying using this general they, but it's like, so you feel like you couldn't put her in a fucking t-shirt that fits and then also put her in this gorgeous ball gown and make her seem like a princess. Yeah. I mean, you did it with Millie. Yeah. Millie's wearing clothes that pretty much fit her body type for most of the film. Yeah. And she's also has her hair done. Like she looks like they tried to make Willa Dean look like she wasn't. I just feel like they tried really hard to make her not like they didn't do all the bells and whistles they do for the other actresses is what I'm saying.
Was it because of her character though? Was her character more laid back? And because
I feel like Ellen's not super hoity-toity.
Was more, you know.
I don't know. I mean, it's right for you to disagree with me here. It's just something that I feel like is something they do with these movies. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. It's like, we can't make her over until the transformation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's have her wear a shirt that is like 3 sizes too big for her. Yeah. Like, why? Like, why do you have to do that? Yeah. You know?
I was thinking that subconsciously. I was like,
It just bothered me.
Why is she wearing that shirt? Yeah.
Exactly. Like, she can still transform herself. Like, because isn't it also about an internal transformation of, like, learning more about yourself and feeling your confidence? Like, isn't that what it's also about? Like, couldn't you... Anyway. Yeah. It just bothered me. Mm-hmm. But I definitely thought the relationship between the girls felt genuine and real and really, like, special. And... I guess I don't know if we want to talk. We're not really there yet, but I do want to talk about their like falling out because it felt really like
abrupt.
Yeah, it was like hard for me to accept even the first time I watched it, but especially on the second watch, I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about why she enters this pageant. So her aunt has died. Mm-hmm. And she's very sad about it. And you can tell that her mom is really sad about it. And as most teenagers do, she's like very mean to her mom about it at times. And is like, do you even miss her? You didn't even really know her. Like she's mad because her pageant mom was always off at these pageants. And like her Lucy kind of raised her, you know. And as she's going through all of Lucy's old belongings, she comes across this old pageant application from the same year that Rosie, her mother, won the pageant. Mm-hmm. And so... why do you think she enters? Like, she tells us why, but what is the reason you think she really enters? I think it's unclear to me.
It's unclear because from when she looks at the application and she kind of, like, says, like, I'm doing this for her. Like, she didn't get to do this, so I'm going to do it for her. And then
which
it becomes...
I thought was good. I was like, cool, get in there and be you, which I thought was a good reason to do the pageant. Like, I don't care what my mom thinks. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Lucy taught me to be who I am, and I'm going to go up there and be me. And I was like, cool, I like that.
But then it turned into a protest against her mom.
Which seemed confusing. Like, when did it become that?
Yeah.
And also, like, why? Like, why? I don't know. I thought that was like, that part of the story was hard for me to.
Could it be that she did it for both?
I guess.
We're very complicated
It's true.
creatures.
It's true. It's just like, I felt like she definitely seemed like she was really like judgy about the other girls wanting to be in the pageant, which I get. Like, I also thought pageants were dumb when I was that age. I still kind of think they're dumb.
I still do. I'm sorry if you're in pageants, but
I actually, if you're an adult person in a pageant, you do you. I actually just think, I think baby and child pageants are like creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm complicated with the pageant thing. It's like, why do we need to parade women around?
Yeah.
In dresses like that?
I guarantee you that idea was not come up with by a woman.
Who knows? I don't know how it originated, but
it just seems like...
I mean, Rosie certainly seems to be on board with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she enters the pageant, which her mom is not super thrilled about.
Yeah.
And then other girls also enter the pageant at the same time. So we've got Millie entering the pageant, who genuinely wants to be there.
Yeah, and she feels like she can when she sees Willadine. And Willadine says something that, like, I think it just, like, it kind of upset me. It was like, I'm not the Joan of Arc of fat girls or whatever.
Yeah, that's what she says.
And I was like, what? Like, but, like, why do you have to say that? Like, why can't you just let her, like, be inspired by you? I don't know.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought that line was pretty good. But again, it's like,
but that's like tearing a fellow woman down.
But she does that a couple of times because that's how her and her friend get in that fight. You know,
yeah.
And she's also kind of judging all the other girls as well. Like, even that girl, the one who ends up winning. God, I don't really know her name. Becca. Becca is really nice to her, and I think is like trying to get to know her. You know, in that scene where she's getting her dress altered because Willadine's mom also alters dresses for the pageant for extra money, and Becca, the front runner. You know, blonde, thin. You know, who you think would win the pageant. She's getting her dress altered, and it seems like she wants to have a conversation with Willadine. And of course, like, she's talking about Beau, which is the guy that she likes. So it's
I wouldn't want to talk to her about that. Yeah.
But I feel like there's multiple times where Becca's trying to be nice to her and is like asking her, like, are you going to be at the pageant practice today? And like, she really like resists. And even the other girl, the one from the store, seems like she's trying to be nice to her. The Callie, the one who's friends with her friend, that she gets jealous of her friend for being friends with. There's a lot of this like girl jealousy in this movie.
I completely forget about that.
It got me that also I was like, ugh, do we have to do this like every time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess like that is kind of part of being a teenager, but I wish it wasn't.
Well,
like,
I remember being in 6th grade, and of course in 6th grade it's like you're in a new school and you have like kids coming from a different elementary school. And so I met this girl. I met my best friend who I went to the same elementary school as her, and like I knew her, but like we became best friends that year. And also in that same class was a popular girl who tried to befriend me, and I basically rejected her because she was popular. And I totally did. Like I totally brushed her off and was like, I can't be friends with a popular girl. She doesn't want to be friends with me as a person. She just wants to use me or manipulate me or whatever. When she was probably just trying to be my friend, and I totally like rejected her. And so I feel like that's something that this movie didn't get to, is that point of Becca is just as real of a person as you are, and she is not less than you or mean or like a vapid person just because she looks the way she does. And I think that's something that I always had a problem with when I was younger, is I saw someone who was breathtaking and I just assumed that they were mean or a bad person, which is usually the opposite. Like,
and I feel that's like what
usually,
the attitude she's taking, you know, with the other girls in the pageant is that this is dumb, you're all dumb.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like how would this movie have been different if her wanting to get in the pageant was about like, I mean, I guess it's kind of realistic. It is realistic that a person would get in there and be like, you're all dumb.
Yeah.
But also, like, what if this movie was more about like her wanting to get in there and love herself and feel beautiful, and then like I feel like there's another version of this movie where instead of like not trying off the bat, and I'm not even saying like doing it to impress her mom, but just like doing it and then not being very good at it because she's struggling with her confidence, because like there's still the transformation can still happen, but it was like, I don't know, at times I was just like, like why are you even doing this if you like hate it so much? But I don't know, maybe that's the point, you know, that we have to wonder why that she's doing it. Maybe she wants to do it and she just doesn't want to admit it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, it's pretty simple.
No, it's not. Because you and we don't work together in the real world, Bo. You're supposed to be with someone like Becca.
What are you talking about?
God, I'm talking about this. How are you missing this? Do you not know what it would be like to be with me?
Never took you for the type that cares as much as people think.
I can't, Bo. And that might make me a coward.
It does. Willie Dean Dixon, I think you're beautiful. To hell with anyone else who's ever made you feel less than that.
Okay, so I guess that's going to wrap up our discussion of Dumplin, which we are going to break into two parts. We keep thinking we're going to have these discussions in one episode.
I think you're insane when you say that. I'm in the back of my mind. I'm like,
ever done that?
I'm like, Nicole, really?
I'm like, sure, we'll just breeze right through it. We'll just make a real breezy conversation about this 2-hour movie. No, we literally need like 2 hours to talk.
We need like some guy in the corner being like,
we need somebody to light us like they do at a comedy club. Yeah. We need someone to light us about 45 minutes in.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Wrap it up, ladies. So we'll be breaking this into two parts. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I enjoyed talking about this movie with you.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really just happy to see body positivity as such a topic in these days.
Yeah,
I think that's
too.
good. It's partly because people are getting a chance to tell their stories, I feel like. So let's keep allowing people to tell their stories. Maybe make a movie about a pageant where somebody who likes to do drag wins a pageant.
Yeah.
Let's do that, maybe.
Definitely.
Let's think about that. You know, they don't always need to help. The gays don't always need to help straight women get their shit together. They don't have to.
Yeah.
Give them their own story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
You can find us on the interwebs if you'd like to continue this discussion about Dumplin with us. Did we get something wrong? Did you disagree with us? Did you read the book and you want to tell us about it? You can
don't tell me.
Well, don't tell Sarah, but tell me. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Georgia Made Podcast, and you can find us on Twitter at Georgia Made Pod. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or TuneIn or any of those other podcatcher apps. So please subscribe, rate, and review if you're so inclined. It helps people find the show.
Where can they email us?
You can email us at georgiamadepodcast@gmail.com.
Nice. I will not be checking that email in case any of you give spoilers about the book.
So send me all the spoilers.
Yep.
You can send them all to me. And I'll make a collage. I'll make a vision board that we'll show Sarah after she's read the book. You're going to come back and report back to us, right?
I will.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, until then.